So the story. Why this particular time period in Peter's life? It looks like he's just right out of college, why not high school?
Yeah. Well, I think it gave us an opportunity to tell a unique Peter Parker Spider-Man story. So it was something where we could tell a new story. I think it's also something that people, are maybe going to recognize. They're going to understand that feel of just being out of college, of starting to think about, what is it like to be, take that next step in your life. And you can see that sort of reflected in the game. And so you'll think about that.
Why was this the ideal lineup for Sinister Six?
Let's see. I think all of them have a different a challenge in the gameplay, so there's something we could work with there. And I think one of the neat things is we've introduced Mr. Negative, and he's not typically traditionally in the Sinister Six, so it's somewhere where we could work with that. Again, staying true to the idea, but mixing it up.
How'd you decide on all these villains?
It was definitely a process, working with Marvel, working with our character in the story team in terms of, again, what was going to work in the story, what would make sense, getting some classic Spider-Man villains in there so that you'd have a touchstone as a player to people you wanted to see and fight against, they were in the game, as well as making sure that it made sense that we could tell the Peter Parker backstory, the Spider-Man backstory of 8 years where he could have engaged with these villains, put them away in Raft, which of course at E3 we had the Raft breakout.
Not only did you do an incredible job incorporating villains, but I think you did a really unique thing with incorporating Mary Jane. So how was that and bringing her in the storyline and looping her in, but not just on a storyline level, but also with gameplay and affecting the mechanics? How was that?
Well, I think it was a great opportunity for us to tell the Peter Parker, the human story, right? And having playable Peter and playable MJ is a great way to do that. It's also, again, staying true to MJ's character, but finding a role for her that was strong, that had a full character arc. That's something we work with Marvel on all our characters to have a really strong arc for them, and being able to translate that into gameplay. So she's she's an investigative reporter, and so that's something that you can do that's active in the game. And as it goes along, you play as MJ multiple times, and you'll see sort of an evolution in the game mechanics that she has access to.
I got a nice go with her today in the museum and into some of the gameplay, and that was pretty awesome. But I also noticed in the pause menu that there's a bunch of content left for me to unlock and a lot to do there. What's the mindset around kind of the exploratory process throughout the game?
Well, I mean, we wanted to make sure that we had a real open world experience. One of the things we sort of our touchstone was cinematic action in an open world. And so we want to have this great through line for the story, and then make sure that our open world felt like New York City, felt like somewhere that you had a lot of stuff that you could do, and also reflect the storyline in that content, right? As the story progresses, your options and content that's in the city, the way the city looks and feels, changes. And so that was really important for us.
Can we expect a lot new DLC and new updates and content to continue rolling out with the game?
So we do have a plan called The City That Never Sleeps, and so that's where we're going to have some episodic content. First one's going to feature Black Cat, and that's going to come out, after we're focused on finishing the game right now, and so then we'll move on to that and more details later.